What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and the patch notes have dropped, so let's take a look at these things. Now, I briefly went over these. I didn't go into too much detail. There really isn't a whole lot here to talk about other than the 3 new uniforms and the tier 3. And this is going to be a patch, so this isn't like our normal updates where we have these long maintenance periods. This is going to be applying in waves. You can see the time schedule right here. And then we have the 3 new uniforms and the tier 3. And first we have Sharon Rogers. Now Sharon Rogers still a blast, still a superhero, nothing changed at all there. Then her uniform effect gives her an increased chain hit damage by 25% currently. She has a 20% chain hit damage, so it's a little bit of a buff. And then the decreased basic damage received by 10%. She already has that in her newest uniform. So it's not really much of a buff as far as her uniform effect is concerned. Wouldn't have minded to see a little bit more, but 5% chain hit damage is something, but it's not a whole lot, to be perfectly frank. And then their leadership is the same, 1 skill, nothing, 2 skill, nothing. The 3rd skill, now this is kind of something that, we were kind of hoping wasn't going to happen, but she still has the damage accumulation based on how much damage she takes. So yeah, it's going to be still the same old, sit and wait game where you're trying to take damage to deal more damage, unfortunately. And that's kind of a bum deal. It's exactly the same stats as what she's always had. And then her 4th skill has an all defense down, which she doesn't have right now. So for you newer players that are focusing on the regular world bosses, she is going to be quite a bit stronger. But the all defense down only goes up to 45%, but it will help. I mean, especially if you don't have Pierce, having that all defense down is going to help quite a bit. And then you have the 5th skill, which gives her a crit increase by 35%, which she already has. She still has the shit 10% recovery of max HP. That is a shame, man. That is a real shame. So it doesn't look like any other increased damage received other than what she already has. It looks like she's going to have the same heal. So, I mean, from just looking at this text, right? We're just looking at text. You're not really seeing much of a difference here. I mean, you're just seeing an extra 5% chain hit damage, and that's pretty much it. So whether or not this uniform is actually going to be worth buying, and the all defense down is, I don't know, man. I'm actually a little disappointed with what I'm looking at, but you never know. They could add a lot of hits and the skills that would make a huge difference, especially having that extra 5% chain hit damage. So we'll see. And then we have Luna, who's still a speed superhero, and she has the increased cold damage by 25%. Uniform effect, I think currently, let me take a look at Luna here. As far as her uniform effect, she has an increased cold damage by 15% in her newest uniform. So the fact that this is going to give an extra 10% is a pretty good amount. It's a substantial jump. And then her passive, increase all basic attacks by 10%, increase all basic defense by 10%. Okay. Then her active 2 skill, nothing rare. 3rd skill, nothing really there. 4th skill has a 50% recovery of heal, which she already has. She has the cold resistance down. And this stacks at 30%, which she already has. And then, yeah, I mean, not really a whole lot of difference here as far as just text. And then the 5th skill still gives her 5-second immunity, gives her 15% recovery. I'm pretty sure that Luna has heals on both her. Let me look here. She has a heal on her 5th skill, and she has heal on her 4th skill already. So this is pretty much the same. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of differences between the actual text of these uniforms so far. I gotta say, I'm not very impressed at all. I'm not impressed, right? I'm just, it doesn't look that great. Let's take a look at Crescent here. So Crescent is a combat, right? And someone mentioned in the comments that she kind of looks like Mickey Mouse. Yeah, she kind of does. And then her uniform effect, activation rate, 85% chance when attacking, applies itself. Increased guaranteed critical rate by 15%. Increased skill damage. I mean, it sucks that it's 85% chance. Let me take a look at what Crescent has right now. As far as her uniform effect, she has a 85% chance when attacking. Critical rate increases by 30% on a 4-second cooldown. So they've actually added the cooldown here. It's actually 9 seconds instead of 4 seconds. But they did give her an increase of skill damage on this uniform compared to the previous one that she had. Her leadership is still the same. I believe it was always 60% increase. Combat, yeah, that's the same. And then her passive, man, we don't care about summons that much. Then her tier 2 passive, 35% increase of physical attack. Let's see what her tier 2 passive is on here. Yeah, I mean, she's got the 35% increase of physical attack already in her tier 2 passive. So, all right. And then her 1 skill gives her immunity. I mean, she's got immunities all over her skills. Her second skill still has damage accumulation. It does have ignore iframe. I don't think she had that before. No. So they've added ignore iframe for her, so she might be PvP viable. So for those of you that are in PvP, that is a possibility. I mean, this is on a 7.5 second cooldown, so we'll see how that plays out, but that could be very strong. I mean, Crescent's got a lot of survivability in her kit already, so she might be pretty good. We'll see. And then her third skill is nothing really here. And then her fourth skill gives her a heal. She has the reflect. I think she always had the reflect on the fourth skill. Yeah, she already had the reflect of physical damage received. And this is exactly the same, it looks like. So, and again, this is another thing that might make her PvP viable. They're going to give her some all defense down, which she didn't have before. So they've added all defense down, similar to what they did with Sharon Rogers. And then they gave her, she already had the invincibility. She gives the increased attack by 30%. I believe that was 25 before. Yeah, so they gave her an extra 5% increase of all attack. And they kept the ignore target dodge rate by 100%. I mean, the ignore iframe is good for PvP. And I do think, definitely for AC, she's going to be a whole lot better. We'll see about, timeline, but really so far, I'm actually quite disappointed with what I'm seeing. But again, we're just looking at text. I'm not seeing a whole lot. And then we have White Fox's tier 3. And unfortunately, White Fox isn't getting a uniform, which for those of us that didn't buy the newest uniform, this might be a bum deal, but it's still going to be a worthy investment in my opinion, because you're still going to get the damage to supervillains and the increased all attack to characters with leadership. It's still going to be massive for a World Boss Legend, and really for any character with leadership. It's still going to be really, really great, but especially for World Boss Legend, because you need that tier 3. And then her tier 3, she deals burn damage and has silence, invincibility. She does have a nice damage proc for 70%. So, I mean, nothing really major. No attack buffs, no remove all debuff, no ignore iframe, although it might have it, you never know. But I think they're now putting that in the text that they do have ignore iframe. And then here's her tier 3. I'm not going to enlarge it because it'll get all blurry and look like crap. Okay, she does a lot of slashes. All right. It's kind of, so whatever in my opinion. The hit count of Crescent's tier 3 ultimate Moonlight Shockwave has increased. Okay, so they increased Crescent's tier 3 hits, which is really great. That means a lot more damage. And then we have game errors. So I gotta tell y'all that I'm really not that impressed with what I've seen so far. I mean, honestly, White Fox, yeah, it's great she's getting a tier 3, but she is getting a new uniform. And this uniform is decent. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out, especially with Pierce and everything and getting all those extra stats from having the tier 3. And as far as the trio here, I think Crescent's actually getting the most love compared to what she already has, because she's actually getting a little extra something special with the extra hits on her tier 3, getting the ignore iframe, getting the all defense down. I think she's getting the biggest upgrade, but even that I'm looking at and I'm just like, is it going to be enough? And I actually am really wondering as to whether or not Luna and Sharon, if it's even going to be worth buying those uniforms. But, you just never know with Netmarble. You never know with these characters and what they do with them. If they do a lot more hits, even if they don't put it in the text, in the patch notes, they could be much more devastating what they already are. But I'm telling you, if they're not, it's going to be a pretty huge disappointment. And it'd actually be the first time that Luna and Sharon didn't get a god tier upgrade when they got their uniforms, especially Sharon, man. Every uniform she gets, they're just god tier. And from looking at this, the patch notes, it doesn't look like god tier. However, you never know, it could be so. So we'll find out real soon as to whether or not these uniforms are actually going to be worth buying. So let me know how you're all feeling about the patch notes. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.